Morning, everybody. 8:16 a.m. Hope everybody had a good weekend. July 17th. Market finally had a little bit of pullback, which I talked about on Friday, saying that the volume was getting kind of thin up there. NQ was in supply, and I was waiting for a push higher, which came, and profit taking ensued. So that was pretty much in pre-market plan. Excuse me for that. That was my straw, my coffee. Um, let's get into this. My name is Steven Gonzalez. Welcome to my channel. Use volume profile, market profile to basically filter out the market to try not to get enticed by price action. Also using supply and demand, key levels, gamma exposure levels as well, and helps us keep us on the right side of the market. You want to look for confluence, stuff like that, to just keep your head on straight, right? Because price action always can fool you. It can fool me. It can fool anyone. But when you look at structure with volume profile, market profile, what it gives you is that foundation and structure that you can lean on. So then you can basically map out some scenarios based on if this, then that, right? That's what I try to do here. Hopefully, whoever's with me, who's been with me, sees what we do every day when we map out some scenarios. So hopefully that helps everybody stay on the right path. And without further ado, please subscribe if you haven't already. Set an alert. All right. Big thumbs up always helps me. Hit that like button. Of course, I would say more or less my Twitter, Gonzo719. Like I said, I have gotten a job, so my days are extra long now. So I'm not able to do as much reels and stuff like that. Gonna try to get that in a little more, but haven't been able to get that in as I would like to. And that's what I was gonna say. Well, let's just move on to the watch list. Okay. I mean, we are in July. We have a lot of earnings coming up this week. Earnings season started on Friday, but like this week's got some heavyweights. So, all right. So let's see what we have going on here in Future Land. Very, very interesting. The VIX is up 4.57%. Bonds, 30-year bonds, are being bought. So we should see yields go down at 8:20, which is soon. So within 10 seconds, let's see how much the 10-year yield falls. It's going to report right now. All right, there it is. It's down 1.05%, as expected. Dollar's flat. Dollar is at 99.88, below 100. Okay. Nasdaq's down 0.02. Gold's down 0.1. Russell's down 0.11. ES down 0.13. The Dow is down 0.24. Bitcoin's down 0.25. Silver down 0.51. Ether down 0.7. 10-year yield we already spoke about. Crude is down 1.27%. So I'm just looking at crude and looking at certain energy stocks to possibly take nibbles at. And one thing I've noticed is when a sector's super weak, like energy's been, and the prior year was pretty strong, that first move up is usually some type of fake out. I'm not saying we're going to crash in oil, but China just came out, and China is not doing as good as everybody thought it would do. And actually, there's some banks that are, or firms that are down, like basically downgrading their GDP for China. So that's going to have a negative effect on the largest crude importer. Okay, so crude is going to react to that news. Okay, just so everybody understands that. And as long as crude stays at this 70 around dollars a barrel, that should hold CPI in check. If we start to break out though, if we start building a base, crude starts making a move, that's going to affect CPI. And you might get a hotter number if crude starts going up higher. That's the big reason why CPI has gotten weaker. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Tesla. Tesla saw that they're coming out with the Cybertruck after 2 years. Also, they're having some good quarterly revenue growth, but their margins are down just because they cut prices. However, and also something they're setting up some factory in India. However, though, they got a price target raise today from 170 to 265. So all that's kind of helping out Tesla today. Pre-market up 1.93%. Tesla also reports earnings after the close on Wednesday. Okay, let's go to Nvidia. Nvidia also got a price target raise from 420 to 520. Okay, that took a decent beating. Went all the way down to 450, bounced a little on Friday. Netflix had a mighty fall too, all the way down to 440. Okay, now Netflix, with this strike, I don't know if everybody's aware, there's a strike going on with SAG, the Screen Actors Guild Union, that there's not going to be any scripted shows or any actresses or writers. They said probably throughout the end of the year. However, Netflix has international crews that I guess are not a part of the SAG, so that they have a little bit of a buffer. So that's part of Netflix. Netflix reports earnings on Wednesday after the close. Apple. Apple also got a price target raise from 190 to 220 today. Okay. All right. Is there laggards? AMD down 0.38. AMD, I think Citi said it's on a 90-day, let me see here. I just saw the news. Give me 1 second. I just saw it where it was very interesting. Here it is. I'll show you guys just real quick. Right here, Barclays cuts China's GDP growth forecast from 4.9 from 5.4, right? And then AMD, I think that's Texas Instruments, I could be wrong, gets negative 90-day catalyst watch from Citibank. Pretty interesting there. So AMD, I mean, that's not a monster move down. And Meta's down 1%. Okay, Meta had a. If you look at Meta on a monthly chart, it's insane. But Meta is in some type of lawsuit. It says Norway regulator to fine Meta over privacy breaches. So that's what's in the news. Meta, that's down 1%. Coinbase rocketed up after XRP was not considered a security. It's down 1.24%. So that's negative. Baba, which is always gapping up and gapping down, had a nice long on Friday in Baba. Over 100% return. Was looking for more. but that was a pretty decent trade. That is down 1.34%. Okay, now China just got that GDP news and not the best quarter, so that's probably negative and affecting BABA. All right, let's move on to top sectors. UPS, pretty much flat. Still, they have to make a decision, I think, by July 31st for the strike. They're still negotiating. Um, Johnson & Johnson reports earnings this week. Let's see here. There's not really any leaders, so let's go to some laggards. Disney, the extension of Bob Iger as a CEO, some people are looking at it as negative because if you're extending this guy's stay, they're saying that could be a negative thing. Like, why do you need him to extend? And I just saw a chart of Disney's wait times at the parks. They're significantly down. So less people are going to the parks. Probably because of inflation, probably people trying to save money. But the wait times at the parks have significantly went down. All right, United Healthcare had great earnings. Rocketed the stock up all the way to 481, almost hitting that resistance level. Pulling back a tiny bit, but that kind of rose healthcare up. Okay. Qualcomm is down 0.47. Now that they're in the news too. Qualcomm, I did see something about Qualcomm. Yeah. All right. We can get into that, but I could just say it now. It says Intel Corp and Qualcomm, the chief executives of the companies, are planning to visit Washington next week to discuss China policy. According to two sources familiar with the matter, the executives plan to hold meetings with U.S. officials to talk about the market conditions, export controls, and other matters affecting their businesses. One of the sources said it was not immediately clear whom the executives would meet. Next week's meetings, which one of the sources said could include joint sessions between executives, U.S. officials, come as NVIDIA and other chip companies fear a permanent loss of sales for an industry with large amounts of business in China while tensions escalate between Washington and Beijing. So, interesting there. Sectors. I wouldn't call that a leader, but healthcare is flat. Basic materials, not much of a market mover. Industrials is down 0.28. Financials is down 0.29. Not much of a laggard. We're in July. It's Monday. So, just got a little pullback. Roblox, I see, is kind of getting something. I just saw something about Roblox. That has to do with the Activision thing in Microsoft. I think Microsoft just cut ties with Call of Duty or something and gave it the soul to Sony, something like that. That's helping out. All right, this is what Roblox. Chief Business Officer Craig Donato is leaving the gaming and metaverse firm. The company told Reuters Donato has been at Roblox for nearly 7 years and will be departing end of the summer. The company said has promoted Christine Wooten to Chief Partnerships Officer, who will oversee all the company's business relationships. It says in the wake of Donato's imminent departure, Roblox, which operates a metaverse, a virtual place where people play and make transactions, gets 66 daily users and is available on mobile devices, desktops, and Microsoft's Xbox. So that's the news with Roblox. And it's going all over the place. It just was up 20.23%. Now it's flat. So we can get into some news. There's not much economic activity this week besides earnings. Okay. So let's move over to that. So today we don't really have much. If we go to the impact, yeah, we don't really have much today. Tomorrow, retail sales and Fed bar speaking. Wednesday, we got building permits, housing starts, Thursday, initial jobless claims, Philly Fed, existing home sales, and then that's it. That's it. So not much news, but we got earnings this week. So let's go to the earnings calendar. And what do we have? So let's see. After the close today, First Bank. Let's see. Before the open tomorrow, we got Bank of America, Charles Schwab, Morgan Stanley, big banks, PNC, BNY Mellon, the Bank of New York, Novartis. Then we have after the close, Interactive Brokers. Let's see. Before the open on Wednesday, Goldman Sachs. So big earnings this week. ASML, Halliburton, Ally Bank, Citizens Bank, a lot of banks. After the close, though, on Wednesday is Tesla and Netflix, huge, United, IBM, Sands, Alcoa, Discover. All right. On Thursday, we have TSMC. Before the open, American Airlines, Johnson & Johnson, Nokia, Blackstone, DR Horton. So, and then on Thursday after the close, Capital One, Friday before open, American Express, Auto Nation, Auto Live, Auto Live. So pretty big week of earnings, right? Most notably Tesla and Netflix, IBM, right? Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs. That's pretty big. Okay, so that's what we have this week. We can go to some news that I was talking about here. Tesla discounts, talked about it, and talked about Netflix. Lennar's home builder said its CEO Rick Beckwood has decided to retire and resign. Lennar's having home builders are having a good year. I talked about the Roblox. Now, this is what I was talking about with Activision and Microsoft. It says the U.S. Appeals Court rejected the Federal Trade Commission's request to pause the tech titan's $69 billion purchase of the Call of Duty maker. The decision removes one of the few remaining hurdles stopping Xbox maker Microsoft from closing the deal and expanding its gaming business. The deal, the largest in the history of the video game industry, still needs to be approved in Britain. Now that its latest appeal has been rejected, the FTC may drop the fight, as it has in similar situations in the past. Separately, Microsoft has signed an agreement to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, following the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer said in a tweet on Sunday. Interesting. We talked about the Meta, Facebook, and Instagram owner will be fined 1 million crowns per day over privacy breaches unless it takes remedial action. Norway's Data Protection Authority said in a move that could have wider Europe implications. It says Meta said it would review data till Synet's decision that there would be no immediate impact on its services. I talked about Netflix being safe from this strike. I talked about Tesla. Looks like United Air Holdings reached an agreement with pilots. UPS is still negotiating. And that's about it. That's about it. Only thing here is what we said. China's. I want to talk about China. So Chinese economic growth cools. See, that's what I was talking about. China's second quarter gross domestic product increased by 0.8 from the prior 3-month period, slightly above expectations for an uptick of 0.5, but cooling significantly from 2.2% in the first quarter. So it's just not looking great when you thought that that was going to happen. And of course, I forgot to do the market news. And that kind of wraps up the market news here. We can get into the daily charts. I mean, this market's not doing much in the last 12 hours or so since the open. It hasn't done much. Let's go over to that daily chart. Give me a sec while I pull that up. Looks like we got somebody's listening. Somebody's out there listening. All right. Let's get into this daily chart here. Give me one sec. Just pulling it up. Give me 1 second. We'll get right into it. Boom. There we are. There's my boy right there. We in. All right. You with me? You with me? All right. So, like I said, just looking at this profile, in the last month's this is not the profile, but expected some type of pullback just based on structure. You can see this move, right? So, I mean, pretty bullish. Still made a higher low. Okay. However, though, we did push up and we kind of closed weak. Right? It was expected. I mean, look at this. Look at this run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days still had a higher low. So it doesn't mean you fall all the way back here, but maybe get a correction back to here. Maybe. But with earnings, it's weird. Right? You're going to have all these companies reporting, and that can cause like gap up and gap down in the stocks. And then on the weighting of the market, it's just interesting with Tesla and Netflix coming. So it's earnings is a little rough to read because you don't know what the earnings are going to do, right? So right now we're just like I said, we just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all higher lows, right? Let's look at the weeklies. So last week, look at that. Took out that 444 right there. Opened here for the week. Closed right there. Pretty bullish week. Okay. There's monthlies. So do we have 458 in our sights? Possibly. 458. Right? There's the profile. Right? So this profile had a very bullish imbalance to it. And we did get the break. Poof. We did push up. Okay. Now, it's the job of the market to see if we can build out value here. Right here. Can we build the value out here to push higher? Or do we get weak and return back to 444 to test it? That's really the question. All right. Let's move on to the Qs. So the Qs had a nice move higher. They really ripped higher. But then that was finally met with some selling and probably some profit taking. So let's look at that move. Right? So pretty much, I mean, now Nasdaq was actually showing some relative weakness, and then it showed strength. So we got higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. We have 2 gaps, 1, 2, right? And then we pushed all the way up to 382, right? But then we closed at 379. Now again, 372 is a key level. Does this correct to 372? If you're bullish, that's probably a good buying opportunity down at 372. So let's move over to the weeklies. Same thing, broke out of the 372, right? That's very, very bullish week. In the monthlies, man, next up is the 402. All-time highs, 408. So this 402 level, does it really make it up there? Right? In this next half of the year, did we really test this? Or do we fall under 372 and start, correcting? You can see the months just boom, 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 right? Let's look at the profile. Okay, this is what I was talking about. Here's the most traded price right here, 369. Bullish imbalance like I was talking about before we broke out of here. Boom. Now we got excess. So now it's the market's job. Do you hold value up here or do you return back? We'll have to find out, right? All right, let's go to the Dow. Dow's been weaker because United Healthcare. Okay, and the financial part of it with prior to the bank earnings. So remember the most traded price right here, and we came right back down to it, came right back up to it. I mean, this is just keeps playing around here. So if you look at this move from the 200-day moving average right here, went all the way up here, pulled back, gapped up, pulled back. Right, this is when United Healthcare had a sell-off, and then we gapped up, but then kind of closed weak, but not as weak as the other ones, and we're just kind of stuck here, right? So if we look at the weeklies, you can really see this range, right? It's just being held down. I mean, you can see we didn't have any kind of breakout like in the other indexes. It is in the Dow. United Healthcare just held it down. Obviously, still had, but look at this range. I mean, you'll see it in the monthly. Look at that. We can't get out of this range, but 346, you break out. Can we at least hit 353? Right? If you don't, you're going to come back and visit 327. Okay. Now, notice the difference in the profile in the Dow, right? It's building out. It's building out here. So here's 339, most traded price of the month, right here. You got a double distribution right here. If you can move this level up to here, the Dow does have a chance to break out. If United Healthcare can move above that 481 level, if that can bust that level, you have a good chance of getting a push up in the Dow. So that's something to watch. Okay, I can't believe I don't have an alert there. That's crazy. I don't know how that doesn't. I don't have an alert there. So put an alert there now. I would suggest anybody to have that level in the Dow as a level. Okay. Let's go to the Russell. The Russell, this is what I was talking about, just like in crude, right? It makes you think, oh, the Russell's gonna just bust out, right? Because the Russell has been relatively weak. Right here, right? I thought about this move back here to this key level, right? And then it moved, and I was like, oh, I guess it's gonna move it out me. Then look what it did. It came right back and closed right at that level. So that's a level I want to watch, and it's at there right now. Now it needs a breather. I mean, look at this move. From 180, boom, went all the way up to 193. You need a breather. Can it hold here? If it holds, it could be a nice move. Okay? Could be a nice move in the Russell. Let's go to the weeklies. Okay? In a range. Just look at this. Boom. Up, down, up, down. So, at least, if we hold here, you could probably expect to move to 199.26. Okay? Got a swing high, and why wouldn't it go here? You need some liquidity to build up here, though. 191.34. You get some sideways action here, it could be a nice move to 199.26. Look at the monthlies. You're going to see this big range, but you can see the move up and the move up, right? So we came up from here, 170, made a move. Now it's got to hold here. It's got to hold here in order to move higher. Let's look at that profile. See? Most traded price is 185 at the last month. We're building out volume here. P building, right? So this is last month's highs right here. We're above last month's highs. Right? So you need to hold that 190, 189 level, 190. You need to hold it. Even if you go under it a little bit, but you need it. Okay? Nice selling here, but There's an opportunity there. Okay, let's move on to the market profile. My faithful friend, the market profile. Because there's not a lot going on there, but there is key levels we could talk about, right? There is key levels that we can talk about. All right, let's look at the ES. All right, so you can see in futures, just a lot of buying, and then we're holding. Okay, where are we holding at? Most traded price of the week, of the last 5 days, 45.30. Okay, that's the line in the sand. What else do you got there? You got a nice demand zone here. So now, like I say, how do we filter out the market, right? Forget about the move down. Does that mean the world's falling? It's a sell-off now, like the recession's coming? No, not at all. Why? Because we have our level here. Has this level been broken? No. Has this demand zone been broken? No. Right? Most traded price of the month's way down there still. So this is still bullish. This is what I'm talking about when you look at market profile. Okay? Look at the profile for the rolling week. You have some thin excess here, distribution here, most traded price, and then you have a flat profile here. That's a bullish imbalance. That just means that what I just showed you here, just in profile, means a completed profile is going to have excess at the top. So now you have some liquidity up here. Okay, shorts that are up here now can be underwater if we start holding here and start to do that, and then we can build that excess out. I'm not saying this means a monster move higher, it just means you always need liquidity to move. Okay, you need people to cover in order to move higher. So it's pretty easy here. Okay, now let's look at the relationship. And we'll expand this out. Let's look at the relationship right now to what we did on Friday. There's the high, there's the low. Okay, price is right there, right on the 45.30 level, which is the most traded price of the week, of the rolling week. Okay, right here. No, it's just amazing how that just comes right back. Right, you couldn't go higher, and you come right back to value. Okay, so this is all really, you got the overnight high and overnight low, squat little profile. Okay, so this could be a little trap here. Okay, because if you get enticed by price action where you're a bear and you're like, this is the move lower, right? You can get your face ripped off here. All right, now I don't have any stake in this game because I just want to follow what probabilities are, right? So let's get right into this scenario. Okay, so right off the bat, and again, I don't know what's going to happen, but we have levels to tell us what's most likely will happen. Okay, so this is our line in the sand, 45.30. The demand zone here below it, right here, is the last line of defense. So you just don't short when it goes under here. Okay, so what could happen today is you could see this break. Now, when I say you see this break, if you see this break lower, right, but then it starts to hold, come across 45.30 and start holding, well, we're most likely going to at least move to the most traded price of Friday. Okay, at least. Remember, this is the bullish scenario, at least. Then you have a supply zone here. So I'm not saying, I don't think today is a move where we break out and break. I don't think that's the day to do that. Okay. If you're bullish, and this is the bullish scenario, what I could see happening, this could happen. And then what I could see happen is we probably maybe go in this supply and we kind of just bounce around here. Maybe move this most traded price to here. I think that's very likely in a bullish scenario. Okay. Okay, if you're a bear, right? We talked about this level, right? If you're a bear, what you want to see is you want to see us break the level, and you want to see us break this demand zone, and then try to come up here and fail, right? And then possibly go down to this naked VPOC here, and possibly the 90 EMA daily, and then you have a top of the gap here. That would be the bear scenario. Okay. And what you want to see is that liquidity, right? Because if we break it, right, and we can't go lower, well, you got to have some longs in here to think we're going to go higher until we fail to get above the 45.30. And that's when you start to see, like, okay, boom, and this is your fuel. The longs are your fuel to go poof, and then possibly down here. So that's that scenario. Okay. Let's move over to the NASDAQ. What are we seeing in the NASDAQ, right? Okay. Now the NASDAQ actually has a couple nuances I already see already. Okay. So now one key thing to note. All right. I'm going to bring this into view just so you can see it. The most traded price of the week and the most traded price of the month in the NASDAQ is still here. So it hasn't been able to establish and move the most traded price of the week. I mean, that could move today. It could definitely move here. I'm not saying it can't, but right now it hasn't been able to do that. Okay. So let's move this back down. So you see that hasn't happened. We are holding the prices, so it might move today. But let's look at the NASDAQ. Now the NASDAQ doesn't have that bullish imbalance that the ES does. You can see there's some excess here. Okay. Because it made that nice move higher, and now we start to pull back. All right. Have some supply zone, an old supply zone that definitely acted as resistance. It couldn't break that supply zone. That's an older supply zone. Okay. So let's look at it. We got our our Friday high, Friday low, overnight high, overnight low. So now what we have here in the NASDAQ is a weak low. Right there. And it's weak because you have Friday's low and the overnight low together. Okay? And that could act as a support, or it could break. Okay? Now, the reason why it's weak is because big banks, institutions do not look at overnight lows. They do not look at these little nuances to say, ooh, I'm long. Okay? These are small time, like me and you, who went long here. So there's longs, there's longs here. Okay? A lot of times what happens with these weak lows is it's a quick flush. Whoop. And then it's up to the market to tell us it's continued weakness, or it was a momentary stop run and now we're going to go higher. Okay? So we have our weak low right there. And a balanced profile overnight. That doesn't really tell us much. So the weak low, 156.58, call it. 156.60. Just keep an eye on that. Okay. And we're in the. I mean, price is here. We closed here. The market's not showing its hand right now. It's just not. It's just not showing its hand. So whenever the market's not showing its hand, for me, I'm like, well, I mean, there's not much edge. That's why we have the weak low. That's a little bit of the edge. Most likely, though, this price here, around 150.70.05, will become the most traded price of the week, and it could slow down the market in this area. It could be a chop zone. Okay, just keep that in mind. So let's move on to the NQ scenarios. Okay, and it's very similar here, a little different because we had some excess. Okay, so of course we can start with a little bit of a bullish scenario just because this week low here, boop, this is the line in the sand. It's a line in the sand. Okay, just like in the ES. The ES has the most traded price of the week there, but we have the week low now here. Okay, now also just to note, this move higher this day, check this out. The 50% retracement of that day is also right there. Okay, so in order to have the bullish scenario, like I said, you can see a flush here, and then it's time for the market to show improve, right? Because it could be a quick flush, like a liquidation break, and then a push back and hold, and you can make a move. You could possibly make a move up to the mid of Friday and then test this most traded price. Like I said, I don't know if we can actually take out the highs of Friday. I don't know, but anything's possible. So I'll just put possible, right? That's your bullish scenario today. Okay. Now we got a lot of supply overhead now. So as far as some weakness, which you two things here. You got our weak low here, so we could do this, come under it, try to hold, then we start making some lower highs, and then you could take out this naked VPOC here and then possibly go to the top of the gap. And the main scheme things is still bullish, but that's possibly a bear scenario. The other thing is, okay, is what I said before, could still happen. Is come under here, flush under here, come up into this supply, and then you could start, boom, going back down again. Okay, that's what I see for today. Hope that all makes sense to everybody. All right, as always, subscribe if you haven't already. Set an alert. Okay, well, as always, give me a thumbs up. That would mean a lot. So we got a pretty easy game plan today. Pretty easy scenarios to look at, right? Now Tesla is pretty. It's at 287 right now, so it's up 2.21%. But then you have Meta is down 0.85%. Okay, so gotta wait for the market to shake itself out. I mean, certain things I noticed too, consumer discretionary is at a key resistance level. Now it could pierce that now with Tesla. Semis hit all-time highs last week, and energy made a move higher. And if you look at the chart of energy, made the move higher, break higher, but now it went back into range. So energy could get some extra selling down to the bottom of the range. So that's certain things I'm looking at, and that's going to be it for me. Hope everybody stays green today. Stay patient. Today's a Monday. It's in the summer. Be conscious of that. All right. So wish everybody luck today. And if you don't hear from me, you hear from me tomorrow. Just a quick note. I'm going to be out for the rest of the week. It's my birthday on Wednesday. Taking off. and then I'm going on vacation, so I won't be back to the following Monday. I believe so. I'll be back Monday. So anyway, just wanted to let you guys know that, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow if you don't hear from me again. Thanks, my man.